welcome to Pure Yoga, and this week's practice is going to be all about the salutations. So we're going to be doing Earth Salutation, then we'll do a couple of vinyasas, taking it through to Sun Salutation A, Sun Salutation B, Moon Salutation, and then finishing off with a Dancing Warrior Salutation. So we're going to start on our hands and knees, just bringing our heel of our hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet flat, and we'll just take a bit of spinal articulation here. Soften the elbows, and then let's take a few flexions and extensions. So let the belly drop down towards the floor, let the tailbone lift, let the head lift, let the gaze lift, arching through the back. And then on your out breath, fold everything back in, chin comes into the chest, the tailbone tucks, and the center of the spine lifts. And again, go back into the opposite direction, feeling each vertebra moving through that spine. The lift of the tailbone and the lift of the head takes us into cow. And then as you breathe out, send everything back into cat position. Center of the spine pushes up towards the ceiling. Keep those elbows soft, move in and out of those two places a couple of more times. Keep the fingers wide. Keep the tops of the feet pushing into the mat to activate through those legs. The next time you come to a tabletop position, hold it there. Bring the big toes together, widen the knees as wide as the mat, and then slowly bring your hips back towards the feet, reaching forward with the hands, foreheads to the floor. Feel that flexion through the shoulders, the stretch through the armpits, the stretch from the sides of the waist. And take a moment here in child's pose, just to think about how your body feels from the fingertips to the toe tips. Just have a little check-in throughout the body. And if anything needs to be looked after through practice, be mindful of it. Move with intention, but move keeping that body safe. Bring the focus to the breath now. Bringing that inhale and exhale in and out through the nose if you can, with a slight restriction at the back of the throat. Just breathing in deeply and then out completely. Just take another moment here in child's pose, in neutral spine. And then your next breath in, walk the hands over to your right side mat, bringing your left hand on top of the right, taking the spine into lateral flexion, and just let that body sink to the inside of that right thigh. Relax through the shoulders, relax through the head. Again, breathing deeply, this time into that left side rib cage. Then your next breath in, go back through center, take them hands over to your left side. Bring your right hand on top of the left, sink and let that head come to the mat. And then walk the hands back to center, just taking a breath out in the neutral place. So coming then back onto the knees, walking the hands back towards the knees. Bring the knees together, keep the tops of the feet flat on the mat, shoulders stack over the hips, and just take a moment in kneeling. Close the eyes. Try and find some stillness in this pose. So we're going to start with Earth Salutations. Open the eyes, take a breath in. Take a breath out, turn the palms forward. Your next breath in, push into the shins, raise the hips over the knees, raise the hands to the ceiling. And on your out breath, fold forward, bringing the hands to the floor. And on your in breath, scoop the body through, keeping the hips high till the last minute, and then lift up the chest. On your out breath, release the chest back to the floor, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift yourself up to your first downward dog. Maybe take a little paddle of the feet here. Have a nod and a shake of the head. Relax through the shoulders, push into those hands. And then if you're happy to bring those heels to stillness, encouraging them towards the mat, only if the hamstrings in the calves allow, or just paddle for another couple of times. Put your weight into your left foot, raise your right leg up to the ceiling. And on your out breath, bring the right knee to the nose and squeeze, shoulders over the heel of the hands. Breath in, raise that right leg again back up to the ceiling. Breath out, bring that right knee to the heel of the hand. Place the shin on the floor, turning your right foot under. Find pigeon pose, dropping the back knee and tucking the back toes. Maybe just have a little rock of the body from side to side, just to soften it into that hip opener, that external rotation of that right hip. Just holding in pigeon pose just for another couple of breaths. Breathe into any spaces that feel tight. Keep those fingers nice and wide as though you're in either down dog or in your tabletop position, so you've got a good grounding and support into the mat. Then tuck your back toes under, lift up with your back knee, bring your right foot back and up to the ceiling, and then bring it back to meet the left. Take a little paddle of the feet, and a nod and a shake of the head. Then bring those heels to stillness. Weight into your right foot, raise your left leg up to the ceiling. On your out breath, bring that left knee to the nose, shoulders over the heel of the hands and squeeze. Then raise that left leg again back up to the ceiling. On your out breath, bring that left knee to the heel of the left hand, let the shin come to the floor and turn the left foot under the body. Untuck the back toes, sink the hips. An external rotation, this time on the left hip. And we've got a stretch through that right hip flexor. Squeeze the bum to push the hips down. Try and create some width across the chest by squeezing the shoulder blades together. All the time pushing into those hands, pushing into the top of the back foot. Feel that support of the earth as we're taking these earth salutations. One more breath here. Then tuck those back toes back under, lift up with the back knee. Then lift that left leg back up to the ceiling. Bring it back to meet the right. Take a paddle of the feet and a nod and a shake of the head. So making sure the hands are shoulder width apart, the feet are hip width apart. We're lifting up through those hips, we're pushing back with the chest, but we're trying to keep a little core engagement in the centre of the body, that rib and hip tether. We're going to take 3 vinyasas now, so choice of your own, or if you're coming with me, come forward to a plank position. And on your out breath, drop down the knees, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, release that body slowly towards the floor. Push into the hands, take it into a little baby cobra, squeezing the shoulder blades back towards the hips. Then release back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back towards those thighs. Then push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Relax through the head, relax through the neck. Option 2, come forward to a plank position. Release to the floor, nice straight body, keeping that core engagement in the centre. Untuck the toes, push into the hands. Maybe you wish to come up into a little higher up dog or keep it at a baby cobra. Then release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs, pushing into those hands. Lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back to your downward facing dog. Option 3, stick with option 1 or 2 if you wish. Forward to plank on the inhale. Turn the creases of the elbows and slowly come to a hover. Then roll over the toes, lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back, thighs stay away. And then taking it back to down dog with straight legs, lifting the hips and squeezing of the heels back. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Squeeze the heels back. Then take a bend into the knees, gaze in between the hands, step or walk to the front of the mat. And then allow that body to fold over the thighs with a soft bend in the knees, and then take a hold of the elbows. Let traction come through the neck, through those shoulder sockets, and just let yourself hang in a ragdoll state. Everything falling over both thighs. Making sure both feet are nice and grounded, feeling that earth support. pushing into the big toe mounts, the little toe mounts, the heels, the ball of the foot. Then release those arms to become heavy, and then slowly curl up through that spine, one vertebra at a time. Arms are heavy until you come up to standing. Knees are bent until that lower back straightens. And then as you arrive in standing, roll the shoulders back. Turn the palms forward, take a close of the eyes. Make sure the feet are just slightly apart, not quite hip width, but just away from each other. So just take a moment to find stillness in this anatomical position, with the palms facing forward, the shoulders stacked over the hips, hips over the knees, knees over the ankles. Lift all 10 toes, stretch the toes, and then bring them down from the little toe all the way through to the big toe. Slowly bringing one toe down at a time. And then when all toes have landed, we're going to start with Sun Salutation A. We're doing 2 of those, left and right sides. On your breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. If you wish to take a mini back bend here, take a back bend. On your out breath, fold from the hips, soften the knees as you bring the hands to the floor. Let the head hang. On your in breath, come up to a half lift, straighten the legs, fingertips or hands on shins. On your out breath, plant the hands, step back with your right foot and drop the knee, lift the chest. Then step back with your left foot, bring it to a plank position, and then slowly lower to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or straight bodies to the floor. Untuck the toes, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Taking a gaze back towards the toes, just holding down dog for a few breaths. Easy breaths in, long breaths out, trying to still connect with that Ujjayi breathing, restriction at the back of the throat, breathing in and out through the nose. Ribbon hips are tethering. We're finding that core center support. Chest pushing back to the thighs to take the shoulders into full flexion. Then on your in-breath, raise your right leg back up to the ceiling. Bring that knee into the chest. Step that right foot in between the hands. Bring your left foot to meet the right and allow that body to fold over the legs. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, release that chest back towards those thighs. Next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together at the top. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest and just take a moment in standing. Your next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling, maybe take a back bend. On your out breath, release the hands down to the floor. On your in breath, come up to a half lift, fingertips or hands on the shins. On your out breath, release the hands back to the mat, step back with your left foot, drop the left knee and just lift up through the chest. Then lift the back knee, step your right foot back to meet the left. And then make your way to the floor. This time I'm dropping the knees, then dropping the chest, elbows grazing the ribs, rolling through, lifting up the chest and tucking the toes, baby cobra. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, chest back to the thighs. Pushing into the hands and feet, lifting up the hips, squeezing the heels back, finding down dog again. Wide hands, wide feet. Maybe close your eyes in down dog for a few breaths as you're holding it in this space. Connect a little more inwardly. Your next breath in, lift your left leg up to the ceiling. Then bring that knee to the chest and step that left foot through. Step your right foot to meet the left and allow the body to fold. In breath, half lift. Out breath, fold back over those thighs. In breath, reach the hands back up to the ceiling, straighten through the body. Maybe take a back bend here. And on your out breath, bring the hands to the chest and just take a moment in standing. So we've done 2 sides Sun Salutation A, moving on to Sun Salutation B. On your breath in, bend the knees, bring the arms back, and then reach the arms up to the ceiling to find chair. On your out breath, fold over those thighs, bring the hands to the floor, straighten the legs. Breath in, come up to a half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, either step or jump back to Chaturanga. Roll through, up, lift up the chest, either in baby cobra or up dog. And then take it back to down dog, lifting the hips and squeezing the heels back. Step your right foot through in between the hands, drop your left heel internally, keep the hips and shoulders forwards as you raise the arms, warrior 1. Release the hands back down, step back with your right foot, take a vinyasa of your choice. Either straight bodies to the floor, hover, or knees down. Lift up through the chest into your up dogs. Make your way back to down dog, either chest to thighs, or roll straight over those toes, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Step your left foot through in between the hands, drop your right heel internally, hips and shoulders face forward. Raise the arms into our warrior 1. Then release the hands down to either side of that left foot. Step back to plank and take your choice vinyasa from here. Maybe the hover, maybe to the floor, maybe letting those knees ground. Maybe a baby cobra or an up dog. Then take it back to down dog. Lifting of the hips, chest back to thighs, your choice vinyasas. Finding down dog for a few breaths. Making sure everything is engaged. Maybe the lift of the kneecaps to engage the upper thighs. Maybe feeling like you're drawing the hands towards each other but they don't move to engage the arms. One more breath here. And then take a bend into the knees, step or hop to the front of the mat. And then allow the body to fold over the legs. Next breath in, half lift. Breath out and fold. Breath in, bend the knees, bring the arms up, find chair position. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest. And take a moment in standing. So we've done 1 round of Sun Salutation B. We're going to start making our way towards the front of the mat to find our Moon Salutations. So turning to the left side of the mat, bringing the feet together, hands down by the sides of the body. On your in-breath, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together, interlace the fingers. And then lean over to your right side, lengthening the left side body, relaxing through those shoulders. Breath in, come back to the center. Breath out, over to the opposite side. Breath in, back to center. Release the hands down by the sides of the body and then take them behind, interlace the fingers, lift up the chest and lift up that gaze. Taking that extension of the spine and then release the hands. So I'm going to mirror image you, step over to the right side with the right foot. Turn the palms to face forward. Bend into the knees, track the knees towards those toes and find your goddess squat here. Sinking as low as you can into those hips and squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then straighten back up through the legs, bring the arms to a T shape. Turn your right toes towards that right side of the mat. And then reach out with the right hand, bring the right hand to the inside of that right leg, reaching up with that left hand to find triangle pose on this side. Breathe into that right side rib cage. Keep length on both sides. Then bring your left hand to your left hip. Turn the shoulders And then fold over that right leg, finding pyramid pose here. Breathe in, elongate through the spine. Breathe out and fold over that right thigh. Easy breaths, making sure your left hip comes around and your right hip squeezes back. And then place the hands down either side of that right foot. Drop your left knee down, untuck the toes. Find low lunge, lifting up with the arms. Bring the hands together at the top. Maybe take a back bend. Flare through those ribs, but squeeze the glutes to protect the lower spine. And then bring both hands down either side of that right foot. Tuck the back toes under. Turn back around to the long edge of the mat and squat into that right leg with the left leg straight, left toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Maybe bring the hands away and lift up through the torso to find a balance in that side squat. Feeling the stretch on the inner left thigh. Then release the hands back down. Walk the hands into the middle. Heel toe the feet a little closer together. And then bend into the knees to find your Malasana squat in the center of the mat. Elbows come to the inside of the knees, then lift up through the chest. Sink those hips as low as you can take them and push into the heels, push into the outside edges of the feet. Then release the hands back to the floor, walk the hands over to your left side of the mat. Bend in now to your left knee and your right toes face up to the ceiling. Bring the hands together at the chest and find that balance. Feeling the stretch on that inner right thigh. Holding here just for another breath. Then release the hands down. Turn back around to the front of the mat. Drop down with your right knee, untuck the toes. And then find your low lunge position with the hands lifted. Maybe take a back bend in this position. Easy breaths as you take that back bend. Then release the hands down either side of that left foot. Tuck your back toes under, then drop your heel internally, straighten both legs. And just find that fold over that left leg. Pyramid pose. Hands can be on the floor or to the hips, but try and encourage your right hip forward and your left hip back. Then bringing your left hand to the inside of the left foot, and then reach up with the right hand and find your triangle pose to the left side of the mat. Maybe gaze up to that thumb, elongate both sides of the waist. Try not to collapse into that left side. On your breath in, and lift the shoulders up. Turn both sets of toes to the corners of the mat. And then take yourself into that goddess squat. Taking those hips as low as you can go, squeezing the shoulder blades together, taking the elbows back, squeezing the outside of both hips to open the knees as much as you can take them. And then take yourself back to standing, step across to your right side of the mat, both feet together. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together at the top, interlace the fingers. Lean over to your right side and stretch your left side body. Come back to center, lean over to your left side and stretch the right side body. Try and relax those shoulders. Come back to center, release the hands down by the sides of the body, interlace the fingers, push the hands down towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together, raise that gaze. And then release back and release the arms down by the sides of the body. Close the eyes. Take a moment here before we travel back to the front of the mat doing moon salutations again. Open the eyes, breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together, interlace the fingers. Lean over to your left side, stretch the right side body, relax the shoulders. Come back to centre, lean over to the opposite side, lateral flexion through that spine. Come back to centre, release the hands down behind the back, interlace the fingers. Push the hands to the floor and squeeze those shoulder blades together. Lift up through the gaze if you wish. Release the hands. Step over to your left side of the mat with your left foot. Turn the toes out and find your goddess squat in the centre. Tuck the tailbone down, lift the lower belly up. Tether those ribs and hips, maybe find a lower squat. Shoulder blades squeezing together. Then straighten up through both legs. Bring the arms to a T shape. Turn your left toes to that short edge of the mat. Then reach forward with the left hand. Bring it to the inside of that left leg as your right hand lifts. And maybe gaze up towards that thumb. Triangle pose, elongating both sides of the waist. And then bring that right hand to the right hip. Turn the shoulders to face the floor. Hands on both hips. And then fold over that left thigh. Encouraging your right hip forward and your left hip back. Hands can be on the hips, or if you can reach the floor, on the floor. Feeling that hamstring stretch down that left leg. And then take a bend into that left knee and drop the back knee down. Untuck the back toes. Find your low lunge, raising up with the arms, lifting up through the chest, taking a back bend. Squeeze of the glutes to protect the spine. Then release the hands down either side of that left foot. Turn yourself to the side of the mat. Bend into that left knee. Right leg stays straight, toes up to the ceiling. Maybe find that balance, bringing the hands together at the chest. Lift up nice and tall through the crown of the head. Try and keep that strong engagement in the core centre. Then release the hands down, walk your hands into the centre of the mat. Heel toe the feet together in the centre, towards each other in the centre, and then bend into the knees. Find your Malasana squat here. Palms together, the lift up through the chest, the tuck of the tailbone down. Try and engage through that core. Keep nice and strong, the external rotation of both hips here, feeling the stretch on the inside of those thighs. Bring the hands back to the floor, walk yourself over to your right side mat, bend into your right knee and straighten your left leg. Again, find the balance if you wish. Try and lift up through the torso. So that right heel can be planted on the floor if you've got that range of movement in your ankle, which I don't. Or it can be on the tippy toes, which just challenges the balance a little more. But those left toes facing up to the ceiling, feeling the stretch through the inner left thigh. Bring the hands down to either side of your right foot. Turn towards the right side of the mat. Drop down with your left knee and tuck the toes. Find your low lunge. Hands come up to the ceiling. Raise the gaze. Find a back bend. Push into the sole of the front foot and the top of the back foot. Then release the hands down. Either side of the right foot. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee and drop that heel internally. Straighten both legs. Breathe in, elongate through the spine. Breathe out, fold over that right thigh. Hands either can be on the floor or you can bring them to the hips if that feels more comfortable. Just keep a good space through the front of the chest. And just try and fold over that right thigh as much as you can, maybe bringing the nose to the shin. And then bringing your right hand to the inside of that right foot. Lift up with the left hand and find your triangle pose. Opening through the chest to that long edge of the mat. Those two planes of glass either side of the body. Maybe the gaze is up to the thumb if the neck allows. Breathing into both sides of the waist. Keeping in with that Ujjayi breath, that slight restriction at the back of the throat. On your next breath in, lift up with the torso. Turn both sets of toes to the corners of the mat, heels in. Bend the elbows, take yourself into that sumo squat. Tailbone tucks under, lower belly lifts. One more breath here. Straighten up through both legs. Hands to hips, step over to your left side mat, feet just slightly apart. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling, interlace the fingers. On your out breath, lean over to the left, stretch the right side body, relax the shoulders. Breath in, back to center. Breath out, over to the opposite side. Breath in, back to center. And then release the hands down, interlace the fingers at the bum, push the hands to the floor, lift up through the chest, lift up through the gaze. And then release back out. Turn back to the short edge of your mat. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step back to a plank. Take a vinyasa here of your choice. Either drop the knees, come to the floor or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Then make your way back to down dog. Lifting of the hips and squeezing of the heels back. So we've done earth salutation, sun salutation A and B. We've done moon salutation. Now we're taking dancing warrior salutation. Starting with the right side. Breathe in, raise that right leg up to the ceiling. And on your out breath, bring the knee to the chest. Step your right foot through. Drop your left heel internally. Shoulders and hips face forward as you find warrior one. Right knee's bent, left knee is straight. Maybe gaze up to the hands. Push into both feet and try not to grip with the toes. Your next breath out, find warrior two. Both arms come to T shape. Turn the shoulders and hips to the left and bend into that right knee a little more. The knee of the right tracks towards the little toe on the right foot to get that stretch on that inner right thigh. Maybe sink a little lower in those hips. Feel you're not arching that lower back by lifting up the front lower belly. Then keeping the legs as they are, turn the right palm, reach forward and find your reverse warrior. Right hand lifts, left hand can either go down the back of the left leg or find a bind onto that right thigh. Breathe into that right rib cage as you hold it in this space. Come back to warrior two. Then scoop the left arm down and around. Come onto the toes of the back foot. Raise both hands to the ceiling and then turn and twist to your right. Right hand goes back, left hand goes forward. Palms facing the right side of the room. Sink into that right knee, keep the torso stacked. Finding your reversed warrior, your twisted warrior. Right foot forward, left foot back. Then bring the hands back together at the chest at the front. Step forward onto your right leg and lift your left to hip height to find your warrior three balance. If you wish to extend the arms, bring the arms forward. Try and keep the left hip level with the right. Shoulders relaxed but arms long or to the chest if you wish. One more breath here, toes of the left foot back to the shin. Then bend into your right knee. Left foot lands. Bring the hands down to the floor. Step back to plank. And take a vinyasa here of your choice. Knees can be dropped if you wish. And bring yourself back to down dog. Either the chest to thighs or rolling straight over the toes, lifting the hips. Same on your left side. Breath in, left leg lifts. And as you breathe out, bring that knee to the chest and step your left foot through. Drop your back heel internally, shoulders and hips face forward. And find warrior one, lifting the arms, maybe taking a little back bend, maybe gazing up to the hands, maybe taking the arms out of the eye view. Still bent into that left knee. Then find warrior two. Right hand back, left hand forward. Bend back into that left knee. Hips go low. Knee of the left goes wide. Energetically pushing down into both feet. And try and keep both arms level with the shoulders. Gaze into the fingertips of the left hand to find your drishti focal point. Then turn the left palm, reach forward, and then send that left hand to the ceiling. Right hand can go down the back of the right leg, or find a bind onto that left thigh. Reversing the warrior. And then bring both hands back to a T shape. Scoop your right arm down and around. Come onto the toes of the back foot. And then turn yourself to a twisted warrior. Left hand back, right hand forward. Sink into that left knee. Breathe into the space. Lower if you can. Back leg straight, so pushing the right heel back. Then turning back to the front, palms together at the chest. Step forward onto your left foot as you raise your right leg up to hip height. Try not to let that right hip lift, keep it level with the left. Remember, you can keep your hands here or lengthen the arms, which will challenge the balance a little more. The longer you make the limbs, the harder the balance becomes. Your equilibrium has to change to find that balance. One more breath in warrior three. And then bend into that left knee, step your right foot back, release the hands down, step back to plank, and then take that vinyasa of your choice. The knees can drop if you wish, or making our way back to our down dog, lifting up the hips, squeezing of those heels back. Take a breath in down dog. And then making your way onto your knees to find tabletop position and tuck the toes. A little spinal articulation to neutralize that spine. Breath in. Find the extension. Lift of the gaze, lift of the tailbone. Breath out, fold everything back in. Chin to chest. And tailbone tucks. Come back to a center point. And then bring yourself into a seat, swinging the legs around to the front of the mat, bums into the center, heels pushing away, toes back towards the shins. On your breath in, raise those arms. On your breath out, fold from the hips, find a forward fold to get that stretch down the back posterior chain. Elongate on your inhale and fold on your exhale. Try and engage those upper thighs to straighten through the knees a little more, to push those knees a little closer to the mat. Use the breath to find the depth. Lift up again through the torso. Bring a bend into both knees and let the knees drop out to the side to find butterfly legs, Baddha Konasana. Lift up through the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then if you wish to fold over those thighs a little, maybe encouraging the thighs a little more open by pushing the elbows into either the shins or the thighs. Maybe turn the soles of the feet up to get a little more openness through those hips. Keep those breaths coming in this fold, that inner thigh stretch, the stretch into the lower back. And then lift back up through the torso. Bring the knees back together in the center, bring the hands behind the back, and then just let the knees drop over to your right side, keeping the chest facing forward, a little rotation, gentle rotation through that spine. Come back to center. Take the knees over to your left side, chest stays forward, rotate through that thoracic. Come back to centre. Straighten both legs back out. Bring the arms back, shoulder height. And then slowly let that torso come all the way down to the floor with control. When you get to the point of wishing to collapse, see if you can hold it there for the count of 5 breaths. Take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. 4 more of those. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. 3 more. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Last one. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And lower the shoulders all the way to the floor. Bring the knees into the chest. Give those knees a squeeze. Maybe make circles with the knees on the ceiling in one direction. Just take a little time to massage that lower back. And then take those circles the other way. And bring those knees back into the chest. Then release the feet to the floor. We'll take our last pose of bridge, palms facing down. Push into the feet, lift up from the lower part of the spine, rolling up through the middle, up to the upper back. Try not to let the knees splay any further than hip distance apart. Making sure the toes are in front of the heels. The chest comes towards the chin. Squeeze the bum as you've got as high as you can. Keep pushing into those big toe mounts, the little toe mounts, the heel and the ball of the foot. Create that space through the back of the neck. And then slowly release back down. Bringing the bum all the way to the floor. Have the knees together in the centre, heel toe the feet out to the side. Hands come to a T shape and then just rock the knees from side to side, bring them over to one side, back to centre, over to the other side. Back to centre. This time when you go over to the right, let the knees just take gravity. Draw them towards the mat. Feel the stretch along that left hip flexor. One more breath here before we take it to the other side. Bring the knees back to centre and take those knees over to the left. Stretch down the front right hip. Maybe feeling that sensation of stretching to that right thigh. Bring those knees back to centre. Heel toe the feet back together. And then straighten the legs out long. Bring the hands down by the sides of the body, palms facing up, fingers gently curled. Let the feet be hip width apart, feet dropping out to the sides to allow the hips to open. And then let the shoulders come down and away from the ears with the palms facing up. It gives some space across the chest. Close the eyes, relax the forehead, the jaw. Let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth and the lips gently part. Bring it back to your own natural automatic breath. Just being aware of that breath. Being aware of all parts of the body that are touching the mat. Being aware of the sensation of the clothes that are touching the skin. Noticing the temperature of the body and the temperature of the air around it. With the eyes closed, noticing any shapes, any colours at the back of the eyelids. Being aware of any taste on the tongue. Being aware of any smells around you and within the room. Just consolidating everything we've done through practice. The start with earth salutation, sun salutation A and B, moon salutation, and dancing warrior salutation. Building strength, resilience, intention. Starting now to wriggle those fingers, wriggle those toes. Maybe bring some rotation into those wrists, into those ankles. If you wish to take a full body stretch, stretching the hands up and over the head, arching through that lower back, and then bringing the hands back up and over, bringing the knees into the chest, maybe just having a rock of that body from side to side. Your choice to either roll onto your side or bring yourself up and down the spine a couple of times, rocking up to seated once, then coming back down, up to seated twice, and back down. And on the third time, find your seat. If you've rolled onto your side, make your way into a seated position with the eyes closed. Once you find your seat, bring the hands onto the thighs. On your next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, bring the palms together at the top. And then on your out breath, bring the hands to the chest, a soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, your words, your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.